Willkommen, bienvenue, and welcome back to Duncombe House Diaries. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking all things lime mortar. For those of you entirely new to the concepts of pointing and mortar, fear not, as we will explain everything. And by the end of this video, I guarantee that you will have all the mental tools and be familiar with the actual tools needed to have a go at pointing yourself. In order to inoculate ourselves from the internet, however, I want to say in no uncertain terms that we do not profess to be experts in this field. Quite the opposite, in fact. We are simply going to share with you the knowledge that we have gained from our friendship with Womersleys, who are in fact experts, and our personal experiences, good and bad, which we have gained during the restoration of our 300-year-old English country home. We've completed 3 sections of repointing so far, so I'll be featuring each of them in this video to give you a full flavour of the process. Before we begin, I want you all to have a good look at this. Now, we have an incredible amount of information on the history of Duncombe House, but as of yet, we know nothing about the meaning of this stone carving. After a year of staring at it, it took our fabulous heritage consultant Mel to point out a glaringly obvious, but to me, invisible feature. Let me know in the comments what you think this is and what it might represent. Right, let's quickly get back to basics. Pointing refers to the filling in between the joints in the brickwork or masonry of your home. Think the jam and cream in the middle of a Victoria sponge. Although likely not something one often contemplates, it has a very important role in keeping a building, well, upright, I guess. Traditionally, older buildings like ours were pointed using a lime-based mortar. Not the delicious citrus fruit, but warmed up calcium carbonate. This lime mortar is a breathable and flexible product which allows the building to wick away moisture and move. This was all jolly good until the advent of cement. In the 1950s, 60s and 70s, cement was hailed as a miracle substance. It was cheaper, dried faster, and was easier to use, and as a result, the satanic cementitious strap pointing was born. This type of pointing involves applying a cement-based mortar slightly proud of the brick face, or in our case, stone. Now, at the time, no one had any idea the damage that this methodology would eventually cause. The issue is this. Cement pointing is neither breathable or flexible, which means that over time, moisture, opposed to being free to evaporate away, is trapped inside of the stones. This causes all manner of madness, from damp inside the buildings to frost-blown faces, which is the main issue that we have here at Duncombe House. The only cure for this cementitious scourge is to painstakingly remove it and replace it with a breathable alternative, e.g. traditional lime mortar. Let's quickly go over the basic tools and materials one requires to undertake this task. You'll know by now how much we adore health and safety here at Duncombe House, so let's start with the PPE. Gloves are very handy. A mask is essential for all the dust, and eye protection too. We love these little combo masks that we found on Amazon, but safety specs and a separate mask will work just as well. And lastly, ear protection. This is especially important for me as I hate loud noises. Next up, it's our removal tools. We have found that an old screwdriver works a treat. A cold chisel, hammer, and a mattock. Hi-ho, it's off to work we go. Now we have the controversial grinder, which must be used with extreme caution. We usually just use the standard diamond cutting blade, but you can also get these fancy mortar rake attachments and larger, thicker mortar blades. Choosing the right grinder bit is going to come down to the state of the wall you are working on and your personal preference. We wouldn't get very far repointing in lime without some lime mortar. We use this miracle product from Womersleys. We were put off repointing for a long time because of how thoroughly confusing information on the internet can be surrounding lime mortar, but I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, it does not have to be. This mortar is pre-mixed in the bag and literally just needs water adding. They have a bucket load of different colours, and if you simply send them some photos of your project and where you're located, they will get you sorted with the right stuff. We are using ironstone old white on Duncombe House. You're going to want some buckets and a bucket trowel, and then it's the exciting bit, actually repointing. You are going to need one of these. It's called a hawk, and they come in various forms, but it's essentially a board onto which you can manage your mortar whilst repointing. You also need some tuck pointers. Please do excuse my Edward Scissorhands impression. Again, they come in various sizes depending on the size of joint you are pointing, but on a house like ours, it's essential to have a whole collection. These lovely chaps are churn brushes, and we actually found these two in the shed when we bought the house. 10 points to Gryffindor to whoever can guess what these bristles are made of. Lastly, you're going to need some water, but I'll assume that you've all seen water before. Righto, first up, it's time to remove the cement mortar.
Good morning. So we're at the house today. It is not too hot, which is quite nice actually. It's not raining, it's quite overcast, so we thought it was a perfect day to do some pointing outside on the wall behind us. We actually did an Instagram reel where we did a section of the porch and had lots of kind of comments and people wanting to know more. And this is definitely something that before I went up to Womersley and had a bit of a tutorial and learnt more about it, I was like, right, oh God, we've got to get somebody in, we've got to get professionals. And don't get me wrong, we are not professionals at all. You know, this is our house. There are people who've been doing this many, many years. But it's definitely given us the confidence to have a go. And I think like so many things, when you actually just start and have a go, here's my glamorous assistant in the background, getting all the tools and everything together. When you just actually have a go, you realise that it's actually a lot easier than you think. It's actually quite therapeutic and I quite enjoy it. I really enjoy the whacking bit at the end. I'm actually going to a bit of a pointing and Prosecco event at Womersleys, which is in September, which is great. So it's going to be a bit of a masterclass on pointing and we're all going to have a drink, which I'm really looking forward to. We are going to get started. We're going to do this section here between the window and the yew tree. We're going to be taking out all the strap pointing, the satanic cement strap pointing, as Jack called it. And Jack will be able to tell you more about exactly why we're doing it and some of the more details. We're just going to start. And that's the thing, is that getting out the older stuff is definitely the worst part of the job. The actual repointing and putting in the Womersleys product, the lime mortar, is actually quite enjoyable. It's quite easy, it's quite quick. It's getting out the old stuff, which is a real pain. We're going to have a go and start doing that and just try have a bit of a productive afternoon. And what you guys can see what we're up to and see if you want to give it a go yourselves.
Now, not all cement mortar is created equal. Some of it is weak and kindly falls out in your hand. Some of it, however, sticks like a limpet on a pirate ship and takes forever to remove. Now, there is a school of thought that says that if the stone looks in half decent shape, one should leave cement pointing. But in our case, we can literally see where this apathy leads. So we are in the process, with the help of our heritage consultant, conservation officer, and the team at Womersleys, undertaking a mass repointing of Duncombe House. You will also find varying schools of thought on the best method of removing cement pointing. and we have tried most of them. You can go old school with a hammer and a chisel, or use a grinder. We have found that a combination of the two is perfect. The absolute number one priority when removing the old mortar is to protect the original stone. Invariably, the cement will have done some damage, and it will never be perfect, but preservation of the original materials is the order of the day. As I mentioned, you can buy specific mortar rakes for grinders, but we haven't had much luck with them. Our preferred technique is as follows. With either a thin cutting disc or mortar disc, depending on the joint size, we cut out the heart of the cement point, as so. This then leaves a void in the middle, meaning that often a simple tap with the hammer or a knock with the chisel will break out the cement, leaving the stone unscathed and ready for fresh pointing. Right, that's enough talking from me. Let's get busy with it, shall we? My apologies, I had to stop at this point for a quick motivational boogie, as my father, who is a DJ on hospital radio, was playing my request. January by Pilot. If any of you have a favourite song from the 1970s, comment it below and I'll request it for you. Now, this process, once you get the hang of it, really isn't that hard at all. It's almost therapeutic, in fact, and really takes no time whatsoever. If anything, it's almost too easy.
And just like that, only 6 hours later, I'm always find it funny how confidently naive we are when we start these videos and we say, so we're going to do this today and we're just going to rake it out and then we're going to point it, and it's really good weather for pointing. And yeah, as you can see, it's now, I haven't got a watch on, I don't know why I looked at it, 8 p.m. on Friday night, and we've just raked it all out. More of a painful job than we expected. Yes, always, every job takes longer. I actually don't really dare tell Jack that he has missed a bit, so I'm just going to leave that and tell him that another day. But please, can someone point out where he has missed a bit? He will really enjoy that in the comments of you guys telling him the tiny bit that he's missed. But yeah, now we are ready to point. And that will be a job for another day.
I'm not even going to give you the satisfaction.
Good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday. We are back. The rain has stopped. Yesterday was a complete washout. So today we are back and we are going to repoint everything that we've raked out. This is the fun bit, believe it or not. This is the bit now where we can just mix up the mortar. It's really, really easy. You literally just add water, kind of like a bit like making icing sugar is the best way I can think about it. And then, yeah, we just start putting it in and it's quite therapeutic. It's really satisfying.
Now, if you're wondering why Jazzy's a tad distracted, it's because Dean, Borgia and Quincy seem to be having some sort of mothers' meeting underneath her feet.
Again, I know I've mentioned it before, but it's definitely one of those jobs that when we were buying this house, we were doing a schedule of work and what we need to do, and we were like, it needs to be pointing, like, right, we have to find a builder and someone who knows what they're doing. Don't get me wrong, we probably still need to do that, but actually just giving it a go ourselves and realising it's not that hard, apply a bit of common sense, get the right products, do a bit of research and get a bit of a system, and actually it's a hell of a lot easier. Sorry, just cats running around everywhere. I have my trusty companion, as always, who is just so happy to be back here. I've got her a chew for the car. She's got the cats crawling all over us. And yeah, I'll get my Roberts radio on and we're going to have a good Sunday.
As Jazzy said, now it's time for the fun bit. As I mentioned, we are using Ironstone Old White NHL 3.5 Pre-Mixed Lime Mortar for Duncombe House, made by the heritage heroes at Womersleys. This product is ridiculously easy to use. You can literally mix it with water, wait 15 minutes for it to fatten, and then you're hot to trot. If you can pipe a cake, then you can point a house. Before you begin, it's imperative to wet down the joints and keep them wet during the entire process. This helps the mortar to adhere properly. If it's too dry, don't worry, you'll know about it, as the mortar won't want to stick. Obviously, professionals that do this regularly will be far faster than we are, but if you just relax into the process, you will find it gets easier and more enjoyable by the minute. The aim is to refill the joints fully with the lovely lime mortar, and not to trip over the bucket in the process. Opposed to the aforementioned satanic cementitious strap pointing, the idea with the lime is to create nice, neat, flush to slightly recessed joints. Now, you really don't have to waste too much time trying to make it look neat and tidy, because the beautification will come after. Focus on filling the joints fully and not overworking the product. Always lovely to have a mid-afternoon visit from our emotional support team. Once you have completely pointed a section, then it's time to leave it for a little while to settle in. How long to leave it? Well, this really is a tricky one, because it depends on the material of your building, the wind, humidity, and temperature. For example, when we did our porch, the mortar was ready to be tamped down after maybe 2 hours. But on this less exposed wall, it was closer to 4 or 5. We have found that when it looks and feels a little like this, then it's ready to be whacked. When I say whacked, I literally mean whacked. Using those churn brushes, you want to work along the joints. Not only does this clean off the edges and make them look gorgeous, but it compacts the mortar, increasing its strength and reducing the chances of cracking.
Ta-da! So hopefully you can tell a difference from when we first started, and we've removed all of the satanic cement strap pointing. We're not really sure what the weather's going to be like tonight, so we're going to put Hessian up, which will keep the moisture in and stop it from drying out too fast. Also, we are quite protected under here, so if we do get a lot of rain because of the tree, we should be okay. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. Next step, Hessian.
In reality, modern NHL lime mortars are incredibly robust, especially those made by Womersley, and the chances of them cracking are very slim. However, we want to give our mortar the absolute best chance possible. Ooh, cheeky! And as Jazzy very rightly said, we need to protect it from the elements. Now, this area we've done is very protected, and we would probably, in reality, be able to get away without the Hessian, but the porch, for example, which gets a lot more wind and sunshine, was far more in need of the protections which it affords. Hessian is very inexpensive, and if you can't source it locally, I'm sure that our good friend Jeff Bezos will be able to sort you out. It's as simple as draping it over the area which you've worked and giving it a little spray down. Now, in terms of our lime mortar drying, it has to go through several phases. It has the initial set where the mortar begins to stiffen and lose its plasticity. Then it has what's called a technical set where it hardens to the point where you can't impress it with a fingernail. And then you have full curing or carbonation, which can take a very long time. Drying times will also obviously naturally depend on where you are in the world and the exposure of the wall you're pointing. For example, this wall, as I mentioned before, is quite protected, so it's going to take it a little longer to fully cure. The pointing we have already completed on the porch and the gable end, however, have already started to dry, and we think they look divine. And that, my friends, is how we are repointing Duncombe House in lime. If you have any questions whatsoever, pop them in the comments, and we will make sure you get an answer from an actual expert. If you have naff pointing, then I implore you to have a go at sorting it out. It's just as simple as starting. And if you're based in the UK, get yourself along to the Womersleys Pointing and Prosecco event with Jazzy and Susie. Don't forget what day it is today, my friends. This week's Treasure Tuesday is smoking hot, so please do have a gander at that and let us know if you have ever seen one of these before. Also, if you know the correct pronunciation of continuum, do shout up. No doubt some of you will have noticed that today wasn't an episode about our lighting, but fear not, that is coming soon. We just want to make sure we have all the products in the house to give you the full picture. Next week, we are planning on channeling our inner Monty Dons and getting you into the garden to show you all the progress we've made. Or, to be more precise, the progress that other people have made in our garden. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again from the bottom of our hearts for joining us here on the channel. Please do like, subscribe, and nourish us with your comments. Have a most excellent of weeks. TTFN.